Amongst the must-play build engine shooting games of the 1990s stands three undisputed classics: Duke Nukem 3D, Blood, and Shadow Warrior.
You look like a stupid!
Now these are three games all taking their own different approach to the genre. You've got Duke Nukem 3D, which is all about encapsulating Hollywood action films. Then you've got Blood, which is a love letter to the horror genre. And lastly, Shadow Warrior, which is a pastiche of every Chinese and Japanese stereotype known to man. These are three games vastly different in theme, but united by just how phenomenally enjoyable they are as shooting games, and I'd have to say that Shadow Warrior is probably the most polished out of all three. In Shadow Warrior, you play as all-around ass-kicker Wang, a gun-for-hire working for the evil Zilla Corporation. In the game's opening level, Zilla sends a bunch of ninjas to kill Wang after their business deal goes sour. And shortly after this, your master is also murdered. Wang then sets off on a journey across close to 24 different levels to stop Zilla and all of his demonic forces. Shadow Warrior was one of the first games I ever reviewed for my YouTube channel, and it's still one of the best shooting games to come out of that period in the 90s. Now it's been reinvigorated or reborn, if you will, with something of a HD update in the form of Shadow Warrior Redux, available on Steam and published by Devolver Digital. So what do you get with this new version? Well, firstly, you get the original game plus all of the expansion packs, both of which are almost as big as the original, and also you get the ability to run all of this in modern resolutions with some other minor graphical tweaks. Assuming you've never played Shadow Warrior, which is fine, no one's going to look down on you for that, let me give you a bit of background info on what you can expect. Shadow Warrior is like the Dark Souls of FPS games, and by that I mean it's a quite difficult game with a high skill ceiling where you will suffer lots of deaths from brutally tough enemies. Like Dark Souls, the more you play Shadow Warrior, the better you get at it, until you're just kinda moving around the game world like Neo, attuned to every little hazard, avoiding attacks almost preemptively, as you've got the patterns of enemies down pat. Mastering this game on the highest difficulty is a worthy challenge for any gamer. You've got all the tools of the trade: shurikens, a sword, Uzis, and a shotgun, and even your bare fists can be turned into a deadly weapon.
Oh, look, you're coming apart!
When everything in this game clicks, it's a really intensely satisfying feeling, and you really do feel like this unstoppable ninja badass, killing bad guys with your Uzis and then switching out to rocket or grenade launchers as the situation calls for it. It's really an expert's FPS and the type of thing that would rip the modern, self-confessed hardcore gamer to pieces. Levels offer up challenging platforming sections, some basic key hunting, and just lots of exploration with secrets and little Easter eggs hidden away to be found by curious players.
Whoops, Wang drops off! You bent over, get it?
But I'm not going to go into too much detail on this game. If you want to know what I think about Shadow Warrior any further, go check out my original review. The real point of this video is to look at this remastered edition. Well, for the most part, it works pretty well. It does what it sets out to do, bringing the game into a more accessible platform and upscaling the visuals so you can play it in a modern resolution. So, all of those boxes have been ticked. There's some basic options in the visual menu that you can tweak and play around with, from the FOV to changing the graphics between retro or smoothed out. I have to say as well, I found the new mouse aiming to be incredibly clunky and unresponsive at times. It's like there's some sort of minor mouse acceleration going on that I can't quite get the hang of. You don't need mouse aim to play the game though, which is a good thing, because when you're firing, weapons will automatically aim up or down as they need to, but it's a bit of a bummer that something so simple didn't carry across into this new version. Another issue is that the game crashes a lot. This seemed to happen the most when I was quick loading after being killed, and I couldn't find any solution for this online, so I just had to kind of put up with it. All you can really do in moments like that is just take a deep breath and restart the game, hoping it doesn't set you back too much. There's also some further technical issues I had with sound effects, where certain sounds would play so much louder than everything else. I'd have my sound set to a certain point, and then an effect would play and just blow my eardrums off. Lastly, and a bit of a minor thing, is I'm not too fond of how you have to select the expansion packs from the Steam library. Why can't you just select them from the main menu as an additional episode? Duke Nukem Megaton Edition is also guilty of this, and I just don't understand why they're not all accessible from the main menu. Couldn't be that hard, right? In all honesty though, this is a pretty good repackage, and if you're someone looking at getting into this game and don't know whether to go for this or the GOG version, I'd say go with this one, because it eliminates some of the screwing around you need to do to get the other versions running smoothly, and it's also got all the content in one place ready to go. Looking back on my original review for Shadow Warrior, I'd also like to do a bit of reduxing on my own. In that review I said the railgun wasn't all that useful. Now, I don't know what the hell I was smoking back then, but the railgun is one of the best weapons in the game, killing certain enemies in one hit. So for all those railgun enthusiasts that I offended, I apologise.
Holy shit!
But anyway, look, it's great that these older games are getting a revamp, and Duke Nukem also got its own similar remaster with the Duke Nukem Megaton Edition, which is also worth checking out. All we need now is a remastered version of Blood, and then we're all set, and then all these younger FPS fans will have no excuse for not having played these masterpieces.
I will be the killing machine!